Good morning to those of you out west, and good afternoon to those back east. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar on the unauthorized population in the United States, new data trends. My name is Randy Capps. I'm Director of Research for U.S. Programs at Migration Policy Institute in Washington, D.C. I am joined by two illustrious colleagues, Mark Rosenblum, who's Deputy Director of the U.S. Immigration Policy Program at MPI, and Ariel Ruiz. Before we get started, I'd like to go through a few logistics with you. The slides and audio from today's webinar will be available on our website at www.migrationpolicy.org/events. The report, which is called Analyzing the U.S. Unauthorized Population by Country and Region of Birth, is available at bit.ly/unauth-report. And at the same time today, we are releasing maps of the unauthorized population by country and region of origin that are available at bit.ly/unauthmap. If you have any problems accessing this webinar today, please contact us either at the email events@migrationpolicy.org or by phone at 202-266-1929. When it comes to question and answer later on or at any time during the webinar, you can access questions one of two ways. You can use the chat function on the right of your screen, or you can write to the email events@migrationpolicy.org. Two more things before we get started. I would like to acknowledge Colin Hammer and Jim Bachmeyer at Temple University, as well as Jenny Van Hook at Penn State University, who put together the methodology and the data underlying the estimates that we're going to discuss today. And then secondly, their method and the method that we have worked with them on really requires combining information from two different Census Bureau products: the Survey of Income and Program Participation, or SIP, conducted in 2008, and the most recent years of the American Community Survey, or ACS, 2009 to 13. The method involves self-reported green card or immigration status from the SIP, that is, whether or not a person had some sort of temporary or legal residence, and then merges that information based on the characteristics of people in the American Community Survey, which does not include information about legal status. So in other words, somebody who has certain characteristics, for instance, being from Mexico and Central America, a recent entrant working in certain occupations and industries, that is shown to be, that answered to be unauthorized in the SIP, we code them as likely to be unauthorized in the ACS. So with that brief description of the methodology now, I would like to turn it over to Mark Rosenblum to begin discussing the results.
Thanks, Randy. So in this report, we use those status imputations in the ACS to describe unauthorized immigrants by their country of origin and region of origin. We have enough information from the ACS to describe, some details about unauthorized immigrants in 41 states and 138 counties in the U.S. And we look at 23 different countries of origin and 6 regions, world regions, that we have, enough information about to describe their settlement patterns in some detail. And I really want to encourage you to go to our data hub from our website, and you can download detailed tables by state and by county, and you can also play with this interactive map tool that Ariel developed, which is a really nice way to visualize where the unauthorized population is by country of origin within the U.S. The other thing that we do in the report that we're releasing today is to look at how trends in the unauthorized population have changed over time as a function of country of origin, and also variation by country of origin in application rates for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, the DACA program. So I'll talk about those findings, and then Ariel will talk about what we see in the distribution of unauthorized immigrants around the U.S. and some conclusions that we draw in the report. So before getting into the unauthorized population, let me just quickly talk about the overall foreign-born population in the U.S. And what you see in this figure is that Mexico is easily the largest country of origin for immigrants, regardless of legal status in the U.S., about 29% of the total. Mexico and Central America together account for just over a third, about 37%. And the Western Hemisphere overall accounts for just over half, about 53%. But it's also noteworthy that Asian immigrants now account for about the same number as Mexicans, 29%. And these numbers, the concentration from Asia and from the Western Hemisphere, is a big shift from historical immigration patterns that really began with passage of the 1965 amendments to the Immigration Act 50 years ago this year. When you look prior to that, in 1960, 75% of the foreign-born population was from Europe, and only 19% was from the Western Hemisphere and 5% from Asia. So this is a real, this is a big change over the last several decades. So going to the unauthorized population, what you see here, Mexico, as you recall, accounts for 29% of the foreign-born population, but 56% of the unauthorized population. Central Americans are 8% of the foreign-born population, but 15% of the unauthorized population. So Mexico and Central America together account for 71% of the unauthorized population. Immigrants from the rest of the world represent 63% of the U.S. foreign-born population, but only 29% of its unauthorized population. But here again, Asians account for 14%